Marcus Davenport stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse office, 43 stories above Manhattan, watching the city pulse with light. Billions of lights, street lamps, car headlights, illuminated skyscrapers, screens glowing in apartment windows, light everywhere, except in his home. 46 years old, self-made billionaire, built a tech empire from a dorm room idea that became the operating system running on 3 billion devices worldwide. Forbes called him a visionary. Time magazine put him on their cover. He had everything money could buy, everything except the one thing that mattered. His children had never seen any of it. 4 years ago, Marcus had been a different man. Married to Elena, a pediatric ophthalmologist with a laugh that filled rooms. They'd tried for years to have children. 5 rounds of IVF, countless disappointments, then finally, miraculously, quadruplets. Elena was 8 months pregnant when the aneurysm hit. No warning, no symptoms, just a normal Tuesday morning, and then she collapsed while making breakfast. The doctors did an emergency C-section, saved the babies. 4 tiny girls, born too early but breathing. Elena never woke up. The neurologist's voice still haunted Marcus. "I'm sorry, Mr. Davenport. The damage was catastrophic. If we keep her on life support, she'll never recover consciousness, never speak, never move. The woman you knew is gone." Marcus held her hand for 3 days before he let them turn off the machines. Then he went to the NICU and met his daughters properly for the first time. Sophia, Isabella, Olivia, Grace. 4 premature infants fighting for life while their mother's funeral was being planned. The girls survived those first critical weeks. Marcus hired the best neonatal specialists, spared no expense. They came home to a mansion in Connecticut with a full medical staff, round-the-clock nurses, every advantage money could provide. Then came the diagnosis that changed everything. The girls were 6 months old when the pediatric ophthalmologist, Elena's former colleague, delivered the news. Marcus remembered every word, every pause, every sympathetic tilt of her head. "Mr. Davenport, I'm so sorry. The retinal scans show significant damage. Retinopathy of prematurity, severe stage. We tried the laser treatments, but the response wasn't what we hoped for. Combined with the optic nerve hypoplasia we're seeing in all 4 girls, the prognosis is permanent vision loss. Legal blindness at minimum, more likely complete blindness." Marcus stared at her. "What do you mean, complete?" "I mean your daughters will never see. Not light, not shapes, not color, nothing." The world tilted. "There must be something. Surgery, experimental treatments. I don't care what it costs." "Mr. Davenport." Her voice was gentle but firm. "I've consulted with every specialist I trust. Some of the best pediatric ophthalmologists in the world have reviewed their scans. The damage is permanent. No amount of money can fix this. I'm truly sorry." Marcus heard the words but couldn't accept them. His daughters would grow up in darkness, would never see their mother's face, even in photographs, would never see him, would never watch a sunrise or read a book or see their own reflection. Elena had spent her entire career helping children see, and their daughters would never know light. Marcus threw himself into research. He contacted specialists in Switzerland, Japan, Australia. He funded experimental trials. He offered grants to research institutions working on optic nerve regeneration. He spent millions. Nothing changed. By the time the girls turned 1, Marcus had accepted what the doctors told him. His daughters were blind, permanently, completely, irreversibly blind, and no amount of money could change that. He stopped trying to fix them and started trying to control everything else. The Connecticut mansion became a fortress. Medical equipment filled entire rooms. Specialist therapists came daily for early intervention services, orientation and mobility instructors, developmental specialists, occupational therapists, who taught the girls to interact with a world they couldn't see. Marcus monitored everything, every therapy session, every milestone, every setback. He built routines around safety and structure because a world without sight was a world full of danger. Sharp corners, stairs, hot surfaces, obstacles everywhere. He couldn't protect them from blindness, but he could protect them from everything else. The girls were 4 years old now. They moved through their world carefully, cautiously. They held railings. They stayed in designated safe areas. They followed the rules Marcus had established to keep them from harm, but they didn't laugh much, didn't explore, didn't play with the abandoned 4-year-olds should have. They'd learned the same lesson their father had, that the world was dangerous, that safety meant staying small, that reaching for things you couldn't see only led to pain. Marcus told himself this was necessary. This was protection. This was love. But late at night, alone in his office, he wondered if he'd done to his daughters what grief had done to him. Locked them away from light, even the light they could still feel if someone taught them how to find it. The camera system cost $275,000 to install. 43 cameras throughout the mansion, each one 4K. Resolution with night vision and motion tracking. Audio in every room except bathrooms. All footage stored on secure servers with 3-week rolling backup. Marcus could access any camera from his phone, his laptop, his office desktop. He had the feeds running constantly on a monitor in his home office. 4 split screens showing the main areas where his daughters spent time. The playroom, the therapy room, the kitchen, the main living area. He watched everything. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Marcus knew it was excessive. His head of security had said as much during installation. "Sir, this is the kind of system we install in maximum security facilities. Are you sure you need this level of surveillance in your home?" Marcus was sure, because before the cameras there had been the betrayals. 9 nannies in 3 years. 9 people he'd trusted with his daughters. 9 failures that had carved away his ability to believe in anyone. The first nanny, Rebecca, lasted 6 weeks before Marcus discovered she was taking photos of the girls and selling them to tabloids. Blind Billionaire's tragic quadruplets ran in 3 different magazines. Photos of his daughters in their bedrooms, in therapy, vulnerable moments that should have been private. Marcus fired her immediately, sued her, won. But the photos were already out there, permanent stains on his family's privacy. The second nanny, Jennifer, seemed perfect. Patient, experienced with special needs children, excellent references. Then Marcus noticed discrepancies in the household account. Small at first, a few $100s here and there for supplies. By the time he investigated, she'd stolen $47,000, claiming it was for specialized equipment she never purchased. The third nanny brought her boyfriend into the house when Marcus was traveling for business. Security footage showed them in Elena's sitting room, laughing, drinking wine from bottles Marcus had been saving. The boyfriend wore one of Marcus's watches. They were gone by morning, along with several pieces of Elena's jewelry. The fourth quit after 2 weeks, said watching blind children was too depressing. Didn't even give notice, just left a voicemail and never came back. The fifth had excellent credentials, but spent most of her time on her phone. Marcus watched through the newly installed cameras as his daughters called for help, and she ignored them, scrolling through social media while 4-year-olds stumbled and fell trying to navigate their own home. The sixth tried to cure the girls with essential oils and prayer circles, told Marcus that their blindness was a spiritual blockage that could be healed if he had enough faith. She lasted 3 days. The 7th was caught on camera yelling at Sophia for knocking over a glass of water. "Why can't you just be more careful? You're making everything harder," screaming at a blind child for being blind. Marcus fired her within the hour. The 8th seemed gentle enough but kept forgetting which child was which. Called Isabella by Grace's name. Mixed up their routines. Fed Olivia food she was allergic to because she'd confused the medical charts. Incompetence masked as care. The ninth was the worst because Marcus had actually started to trust her. Margaret was 62 years old, a grandmother, warm and patient. She'd been with them for 18 months, the longest anyone had lasted. She read to the girls, played music, seemed to genuinely care. Then Marcus found out she'd been using his daughter's blindness as a cover for stealing systematically. Small items he wouldn't notice immediately, silver candlesticks, small pieces of art, a collection of rare first-edition books. She'd taken 34 items over 8 months, sold them online, made over $90,000. When confronted, Margaret didn't even deny it. "You have so much, Mr. Davenport. I didn't think you'd miss any of it. And honestly, those girls don't even know what's in the house. What difference does it make?" That was 6 weeks ago. Marcus fired her immediately, but the damage was done, not the financial loss. That meant nothing. The betrayal, the way she'd used his daughter's disability as an excuse, as if their blindness made them less worthy of honesty, less deserving of respect. Marcus spent the next week upgrading the security system. More cameras, better audio, tamper-proof storage. He hired a cybersecurity firm to monitor access to his home network. He installed sensors on every door and window. He created a protocol where the household staff had to check in and out through a biometric system. His head of security called it Fort Knox. His lawyer called it prudent given the circumstances. His therapist, the one he'd seen twice after Elena died and never went back to, would have called it paranoia. Marcus called it necessary, because 9 people had looked at his daughters and seen opportunity, saw vulnerability, saw children who couldn't identify them in a lineup, couldn't read documents, couldn't see what was being taken or done. 9 people had proven that you couldn't trust anyone, not with money on the line, not with access to wealth, not with blind children who couldn't protect themselves. So Marcus watched. Every night after the girls were in bed, he'd sit in his office with the security footage playing on his screens. He'd review the day, watch the new nanny, whoever the agency sent now, interact with his daughters, look for warning signs, unusual behavior, moments when they thought no one was watching. He told himself it was for the girls' safety, and it was. But it was also because Marcus Davenport had learned a lesson 9 times over, that people were fundamentally selfish, that vulnerability invited exploitation, that the only person he could trust to protect his daughters was himself. And from behind his screens, watching through 43 cameras, he could see everything, control everything, stop the next betrayal before it happened. He just had to stay vigilant, stay distant, stay watchful. The mansion was secure. His daughters were safe. And Marcus was utterly, completely alone with his grief and his cameras and his certainty that no one would ever care for his children the way they deserved. He was about to be proven devastatingly wrong. The agency called on a Wednesday morning. Marcus was in his office reviewing quarterly projections when his phone rang. "Mr. Davenport, this is Patricia from Elite Care Services. I have a candidate for the nanny position." Marcus didn't look up from his screen. "Send her credentials." "Well, that's the thing, sir. She's not exactly our typical candidate." Marcus's jaw tightened. "What does that mean?" "She doesn't have formal nanny training. She's been working as a housekeeper for the past 12 years. But when she heard about your situation through one of our other clients, she specifically asked to be considered. She has personal experience with visual impairment and believes she could help." "No." Marcus's voice was flat. "I need someone with credentials, special education background, experience with blind children." "Sir, with respect, we've sent you 9 highly credentialed candidates. Perhaps someone with a different approach. Send me her background check and references. I'll decide after I review them." The file arrived within the hour. Marcus opened it, expecting to find reasons to reject her immediately. Name: Carmen Reyes. Age: 41. Born in the Bronx. High school diploma. No college degree. 12 years of steady employment with 3 different families. Glowing references from all of them. Background check came back clean. No criminal record, not even a parking ticket. Employment history showed she'd worked for a family in Brooklyn for 7 years before they relocated to California. Then 5 years with a family in Queens before they downsized their home. Currently working part-time for an elderly couple in Manhattan, but they were moving to assisted living. Personal statement section. I lost my vision in my right eye at age 16 due to diabetic retinopathy. My younger brother was born completely blind due to Leber's congenital amaurosis. I raised him after our mother passed when I was 19. He's now 27, holds a master's degree in music composition, teaches piano, and lives independently. I understand what these children need because I've lived it. Not from textbooks, from life. Marcus read the statement 3 times. He looked at her references again. One caught his attention. A note from the Brooklyn family. Carmen didn't just work for us. She became family. When our daughter was diagnosed with juvenile diabetes, Carmen taught her everything about managing the disease because she'd lived with it herself. She stayed late, came early, never complained. We only lost her because we moved across the country. If we could take her with us, we would have. Marcus sat back in his chair. 9 nannies with impressive credentials, degrees in early childhood education, certifications in special needs care, years of professional experience. All of them failed. Maybe Patricia was right. Maybe credentials weren't what his daughters needed. He picked up the phone. Send her for an interview, tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. Wonderful, sir. I think you'll... Marcus hung up. That night, he reviewed the camera footage as usual. The current temporary nanny, a young woman named Ashley from the agency, was competent but detached. She followed the schedule Marcus had created. Breakfast at 7:30, morning therapy at 9, structured playtime at 10:30, lunch at noon. Everything by the clock, by the rules. The girls moved through their routines like small robots, obedient, careful, safe, and utterly joyless. Marcus watched Sophia reach for a toy on the shelf. Her hand moved slowly, cautiously, feeling the air in front of her. She found the toy, pulled it down, held it in her lap, didn't play with it, just held it. Isabella sat in her designated corner of the playroom, rocking slightly, not upset, just existing, passing time. Olivia and Grace sat side by side on the floor, holding hands. They did that often, found each other and held on, like they were afraid of drifting apart in the darkness. Marcus's chest tightened. This wasn't living, this was surviving, and he'd built every structure that made it this way. He closed the laptop and went to bed, but sleep didn't come. He lay in the darkness of his bedroom, Elena's bedroom, their bedroom, and thought about that statement in Carmen Reyes's file. I understand what these children need because I've lived it. What did his daughters need? Marcus didn't know anymore. He'd focused so hard on keeping them safe that he'd forgotten to help them actually live. Tomorrow he'd meet this woman, this housekeeper with no credentials, who thought she could do what 9 professionals couldn't. Marcus expected to find her inadequate, expected to send her away within 15 minutes. He had no idea she was about to tear down every wall he'd built. Thursday morning arrived cold and gray. Marcus woke at 5:30, showered, dressed in his usual work attire, charcoal suit, white shirt, no tie. He went to his office and pulled up the camera feeds. The girls were still asleep in their shared bedroom, 4 small beds arranged in a square so they could hear each other breathing at night. Ashley, the temporary nanny, slept in the adjacent room with the door open. Marcus made coffee and waited. At 8:45, the front gate intercom buzzed. Marcus checked the exterior camera. A woman stood outside, small frame, dark hair pulled back in a simple bun. She wore a navy blue cardigan over a white blouse, black pants, practical shoes. She carried a worn canvas bag over one shoulder. No designer clothes, no expensive accessories, nothing trying to impress. Marcus buzzed her through the gate and watched her walk up the long driveway. She didn't gawk at the mansion or the landscaping, didn't pull out her phone to take photos, just walked steadily toward the front door with her head up, like she belonged there. Marcus's houseman, Robert, answered the door. Through the camera, Marcus watched the brief exchange. "Good morning. You must be Ms. Reyes." "Yes, sir. I'm here to meet with Mr. Davenport." "Right this way, please." Robert led her through the foyer toward Marcus's office. Marcus watched her look around as she walked. Not studying the artwork or the expensive furnishings, her eyes went to the railings along the walls, the textured strips on the floor that provided tactile guidance, the corners that had been padded. She was reading the house, understanding what it had been modified for. Robert knocked on Marcus's office door. "Ms. Reyes to see you, sir." "Send her in." The door opened. Carmen Reyes stepped inside. Marcus stood behind his desk, watching her. She was smaller than he expected, maybe 5'3", 41 years old, but looked younger. Her face was composed, calm, not nervous, not trying too hard. She met his eyes directly. Her right eye had a slight cloudiness to it, the damaged one she'd mentioned in her file. "Mr. Davenport, thank you for seeing me." Her voice was warm but professional. A slight Bronx accent softened the edges. "Ms. Reyes, please sit." She sat in the chair across from his desk, set her bag on the floor beside her, folded her hands in her lap, waited. Marcus remained standing. He'd learned this technique in business. Control the space, maintain the power dynamic. Don't let them get comfortable. "I've reviewed your file," he said. "You have no formal training with children, no education degree, no certifications in special needs care." "That's correct. So why do you think you're qualified to care for my daughters?" Carmen's expression didn't change. "Because I understand what they're experiencing. I know what it's like to lose vision. I know what it's like to navigate a world built for sighted people. I raised a blind child from infancy to adulthood, not as a job, as family. The agency has sent me 9 nannies with impressive credentials. All of them failed." "I know." Marcus's eyes narrowed. "How do you know?" "Because credentials teach you theory. They don't teach you how to live it. Your daughters don't need someone who studied blindness in a textbook. They need someone who knows how to find joy in darkness." The words hung in the air. Marcus sat down slowly. "Joy in darkness." "Yes, sir." "My daughters are 4 years old. They've been blind since birth. They will never see. Ever. What joy is there in that?" Carmen leaned forward slightly. Her voice stayed gentle, but something fierce lived underneath it. "Mr. Davenport, blindness took their sight. It didn't take their ability to experience the world. They can still hear music, feel textures, taste food, smell flowers, run and jump and play. They can still laugh and learn and love, but only if someone teaches them how. They have therapists for that, orientation and mobility specialists, occupational therapists, developmental. Do they have someone who loves them?" The question hit like a physical blow. Marcus's throat tightened. Of course they're loved. They're my daughters." "I didn't ask if they're loved, Mr. Davenport. I asked if they have someone who loves them. Present tense, active. Someone who shows up every day not because they're paid to, but because they want to." Marcus stood abruptly. "This interview is over." Carmen didn't move. She just looked at him with those calm eyes, not judging, not pitying, just seeing. "I apologize if I offended you," she said quietly. "That wasn't my intention." "Then what was your intention?" "To be honest, your daughters have had 9 nannies fail them. You deserve to know why I won't be the 10th failure, and why requires honesty." Marcus gripped the edge of his desk. Every instinct screamed to dismiss her, send her away. She'd crossed a line, questioned his love for his children, implied he wasn't enough. But a small voice underneath the anger whispered, "She's right." Marcus sat back down. His hands shook slightly. He clasped them together to hide it. "Tell me about your brother," he said finally. Carmen's expression softened. "Miguel. He was born when I was 14. My mother was told he'd never do much. Never read, never write, never live independently. Blind children born to poor families in the Bronx don't get the same opportunities as others. No early intervention services, no special equipment, just low expectations. What happened? My mother died when Miguel was 5. Aneurysm, just like your wife. Carmen's voice caught slightly. I was 19, no money, no support system, just me and a blind 5-year-old. Marcus leaned forward despite himself. Everyone told me to put him in a facility, said I couldn't handle it. I was barely an adult myself, but Miguel was my brother, so I worked 3 jobs, took him everywhere with me, taught him everything I learned. We couldn't afford fancy therapists, so I figured it out. Read books from the library, talked to other blind people, learned Braille myself so I could teach him. 3 jobs. I cleaned houses during the day, waited tables at night, stocked shelves at a grocery store on weekends. Miguel came with me when I cleaned houses. The families I worked for, some of them were kind, let him sit and do homework. One family had a piano, let Miguel play it while I cleaned. That's how he discovered music. Carmen smiled, the first real emotion breaking through her professional composure. He was 6 years old, couldn't see the keys, but he could hear. He'd play for hours. By the time he was 10, he was better than me at everything, smarter, more talented. He got a scholarship to a special music school, then college, then graduate school. Now he teaches and composes and lives in his own apartment in Brooklyn. And you did that alone. I did that with love, Mr. Davenport. That's the difference. I didn't see Miguel's blindness as a tragedy to manage. I saw him as a person with different abilities who needed someone to believe in him. Marcus sat in silence. Outside his office, he could hear sounds from deeper in the house. The girls were awake. He could hear Ashley's voice giving instructions. Sophia, stay on the mat. Isabella, hold the railing. Olivia, Grace, wait there. Commands, safety protocols, control. Carmen heard it too. Her jaw tightened slightly. Mr. Davenport, may I ask you something? Go ahead. When was the last time your daughters played? Really played? Ran around, made a mess, got loud, laughed until they couldn't breathe? Marcus opened his mouth, closed it. He couldn't remember. Carmen stood up slowly. I understand why you're afraid. I understand why you've built all these rules. You lost your wife. You can't fix your daughter's blindness, so you control everything else. But Mr. Davenport, safety without joy isn't protection. It's just another kind of prison. She picked up her bag. Thank you for your time. I hope you find someone who can help your daughters. She turned toward the door. Wait. Carmen stopped. Marcus stood. His chest felt tight. 3 days, that's what I'm offering. 3 days to prove you can do this. Carmen turned back. I don't need to prove I can do this, Mr. Davenport. I already know I can. What we need to find out is whether you'll let me. What does that mean? It means your daughters don't need another person following your protocols. They need someone who sees them, really sees them. And that means some of your rules will have to change. Marcus's hands clenched. Which rules? I don't know yet. I haven't met them. That's not an answer. It's the only honest one I can give. They stared at each other across the office. Marcus saw 9 failures in his memory, 9 betrayals, 9 reasons to say no, but he also heard Carmen's words echoing. Do they have someone who loves them? 3 days, Marcus said finally. Follow the schedule. Follow the safety protocols. If I see anything that puts my daughters at risk, you won't. You sound very confident for someone who hasn't met them yet. Carmen smiled slightly. I'm confident because I'm not afraid of them, Mr. Davenport, and children know the difference. She walked out of his office. Marcus sat back down heavily. What had he just agreed to? He pulled up the camera feeds on his monitor, watched Carmen follow Robert toward the main living area where the girls were having breakfast, watched her pause outside the doorway, close her eyes briefly, take a breath. Then she walked in, and Marcus's world began to change. Marcus watched the monitor as Carmen entered the living area. The girls sat at their adapted table, 4 chairs positioned so they could easily find their plates, their cups, their utensils. Everything in the same spot, every meal. Consistency, safety, control. Ashley stood nearby, supervising. Sophia, your eggs are at 9 o'clock. Isabella, careful with your juice. Olivia, Grace, finish your toast. The girls ate mechanically, following instructions, staying within boundaries. Carmen stood in the doorway, watching. Robert made the introduction. Girls, this is Miss Carmen. She'll be spending time with you this week. 4 small faces turned toward her voice, not toward her exactly. They couldn't track movement visually, but toward the sound. Carmen didn't rush forward, didn't speak immediately. She just stood there, letting them hear her breathing, letting them know where she was in the space. Then she spoke. Good morning, ladies. You don't know me yet, but I'm very happy to meet you. Her voice was different from Ashley's. Warmer, no nervousness, no careful professional distance, just genuine warmth. Sophia spoke first. She was the boldest of the 4. Are you a new nanny? I'm Carmen, and yes, I'm here to spend time with you this week. Would that be okay? Sophia tilted her head. The other ones always leave. Carmen's expression shifted, something sad but understanding. I know, sweetheart, but I'm here now, and while I'm here, I'd like to get to know you. What does that mean? Isabella asked quietly. It means I want to learn about you. What you like, what makes you happy, what you think about, not just your schedule or your rules. You, the real you. The girls were silent. Marcus watched their faces on the screen, confused, uncertain. No one had ever asked them those questions before. Carmen walked slowly into the room. Her footsteps were deliberate, audible, giving them auditory cues to track her movement. She approached the table and knelt down beside it, putting herself at their level. Can you tell me your names? She asked gently. I'm Sophia, the bold one. I'm Isabella, the quiet one. I'm Olivia, the thoughtful one. I'm Grace, the gentle one. Beautiful names, Carmen said. Do you know what each of your names means? Silence. They didn't know. Sophia means wisdom. Isabella means devoted to God. Olivia means olive tree, which represents peace. And Grace means gift from God. Carmen's voice was soft. Your mother chose beautiful names for beautiful girls. Sophia's small hand reached out, searching. Carmen saw it and gently placed her hand where Sophia could find it. Sophia's fingers explored, touching Carmen's hand, feeling the shape, the texture, the warmth. You have soft hands, Sophia said. Thank you, sweetheart. The other nannies had cold hands, and they didn't like us to touch them. Marcus's chest tightened watching the screen. He'd never noticed that, never thought about it. Carmen smiled. You can touch my hands any time you want. That's how you learn about people, isn't it? Feeling them, hearing them, getting to know them through your other senses. Isabella leaned forward. Can I touch too? Of course. One by one, all 4 girls reached out, touching Carmen's hands, her arms, her face, learning her through touch. Carmen sat perfectly still, letting them explore, not rushing them, not pulling away. You smell like vanilla, Grace said softly. That's my lotion. Do you like vanilla? Grace nodded. Then I'll make sure to wear it every day so you know it's me. Marcus watched, transfixed. In 10 minutes, Carmen had done what Ashley hadn't managed in 2 weeks. She'd connected with them, really connected. Ashley stood to the side, looking uncertain. Carmen glanced up at her. Thank you for taking such good care of them. I can take over from here if that's okay. Ashley looked relieved. Of course, I'll be in the next room if you need anything. She left. Carmen stood and surveyed the table. The girls' plates were barely touched. Marcus had noticed this pattern. The girls ate enough to satisfy requirements, but never more. No enthusiasm, no enjoyment. Carmen sat down in the empty chair at the table. So, who wants to tell me about breakfast? What are we having? Scrambled eggs, Sophia said, and toast, and juice. Sounds good. Do you like scrambled eggs? Sophia shrugged. They're okay. Just okay. They don't taste like much. Carmen tilted her head. Can I see your plate? Sophia pushed it slightly toward her voice. Carmen looked at the eggs. Plain. No seasoning, no cheese, no flavor, just eggs. Carmen said thoughtfully. May I ask the kitchen to make something different tomorrow? We always have the same breakfast, Isabella said. Every day, eggs and toast and juice. Well, that's very consistent. But is it your favorite breakfast? The girls looked at each other. The question seemed to confuse them. We're supposed to eat what's healthy, Olivia said carefully. Of course, healthy is important, but healthy can also taste good. What if tomorrow we had eggs with cheese, or maybe pancakes with fruit? Still healthy, but maybe more fun. Pancakes? Grace's voice lifted slightly. Can we have pancakes? If your father says it's okay, yes. Marcus watched on the screen, frowning. The breakfast menu was carefully designed by a nutritionist. Consistent protein, appropriate calories, reliable routine. His phone buzzed. A text from Robert. Sir, Ms. Reyes is asking if the girls can have pancakes tomorrow. She'd like your approval to modify the breakfast menu. Marcus stared at the text. First day, first hour, already breaking protocol. He should say no, should reinforce the boundaries, should remind her who was in charge. Instead, he typed, approved, but they need protein too. Add eggs on the side. Robert's response came immediately. Yes, sir. On the screen, Carmen smiled at the girls. Good news, your father said yes to pancakes. Tomorrow morning, we'll have a pancake party. A party? Sophia's face lit up. For breakfast? Why not? Who says parties have to wait until afternoon? The girls looked at each other, small smiles forming. Marcus couldn't remember the last time he'd seen them smile. Carmen stood up. Okay, ladies, finish your breakfast so we can have fun today. Fun? Isabella asked carefully. What kind of fun? I don't know yet. What do you like to do? Silence. The girls looked lost. We do therapy, Sophia finally said, and we play in the playroom, and we have lessons. But what do you like? If you could do anything today, what would it be? No one answered. They didn't know how to answer. Carmen's expression shifted, something sad and determined all at once. Then I guess we'll have to figure that out together. The morning therapy session was scheduled for 9 o'clock. Marcus watched as the orientation and mobility specialist, Dr. Chen, arrived right on time. She'd been working with the girls for 2 years, professional, competent, by the book. Carmen was waiting in the therapy room when Dr. Chen walked in. Good morning, I'm Carmen Reyes. I'm the new nanny. Yes, Robert told me. Dr. Chen set down her bag. I'll be working with the girls for the next hour. You can wait outside. Carmen didn't move. Actually, I was hoping to observe, to learn their routine. Dr. Chen's expression tightened. I prefer to work without distractions. I understand. I'll stay quiet, just watching. Dr. Chen looked annoyed, but didn't argue further. Robert brought the girls in, one at a time. They moved slowly, carefully, hands trailing along the walls. Marcus watched Dr. Chen set up her equipment, canes for mobility training, tactile markers, a raised line drawing kit. The session began. Dr. Chen worked with each girl individually on cane techniques, proper grip, sweeping patterns, obstacle detection, all important skills, all taught with clinical precision. The girls followed instructions dutifully. No excitement, no curiosity, just compliance. Carmen watched from the corner. Marcus watched her watching. He could see tension building in her shoulders, her jaw tightening. When Dr. Chen finished with grace and moved to pack up her equipment, Carmen spoke. Dr. Chen, may I ask a question? I'm running behind schedule. Just one question. Do the girls ever practice these skills outside, in the garden, on different terrains? Dr. Chen paused. That's not part of the protocol. We practice in controlled environments, grass, uneven surfaces, outdoor obstacles. Those introduce too many variables. But real life has variables. We build a foundation first, Then we add complexity. They're 4 years old, Carmen said gently. When does the foundation become strong enough to actually build on? Dr. Chen's expression hardened. Are you questioning my methods? I'm questioning whether the goal is competence or just safety. Those are the same thing. Are they? Tension crackled between them. Marcus leaned toward the monitor. Dr. Chen packed her bag quickly. I've been working with blind children for 15 years. I know what I'm doing. I'm sure you do. I just wonder if these particular children need something more. Dr. Chen didn't respond. She left quickly. Robert escorted her out. Marcus's phone buzzed. Dr. Chen was calling him. Mr. Davenport, I need to speak with you about your new nanny. She's disrupting the therapy sessions. If she continues to interfere, I'll have to reconsider my continued work with your daughters. Marcus closed his eyes. First day, first therapy session, already causing problems. I'll speak with her, he said. He hung up and pressed the intercom to the therapy room. Ms. Reyes, my office, now. 3 weeks passed, 21 days that changed everything. Carmen arrived every morning at 7 o'clock. Same canvas bag, same vanilla-scented lotion, same unwavering belief that 4 blind girls could do more than survive. They could thrive. Marcus stopped firing her, stopped questioning every choice, started trusting. It wasn't easy. Every instinct screamed at him to intervene when Carmen took the girls outside without holding their hands, when she let them explore the garden freely, when she taught them to run across the open lawn. What if they fall? Marcus asked the first time. Then they'll learn to get back up, Carmen said simply. That's more important than never falling. They did fall. Sophia walked into the fountain. Isabella tripped over a garden border. Olivia scraped her knee on the stone path. Grace got grass stains on her favorite dress. And every time, Carmen was there, not to prevent the fall, but to help them stand. You're okay, she'd say. That hurt, I know, but you're okay. You're strong. Want to try again? And they always did. Marcus watched his daughters transform. Sophia started asking questions about everything. What color is the sky? What does blue sound like? Isabella laughed more, real laughter that filled the house. Olivia explored every corner of the garden, mapping it in her mind. Grace sang constantly, making up songs about flowers and sunshine and being brave. They weren't different children. They were the same children finally being allowed to be themselves. Carmen taught them beyond the protocols. She brought in textured books and let them feel the stories. She played music and taught them to dance. She made cookies and let them measure ingredients by touch. She sat with them in the garden and described the world in ways they could understand. The roses smell sweet like candy. The fountain sounds like applause. The grass feels like carpet made of tiny green threads. Marcus started joining them, really joining them, not watching through cameras, but sitting on the lawn while Carmen worked with the girls, playing simple games, reading to them in different voices, being present. One evening, Sophia climbed into his lap, just climbed up and settled against his chest, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Marcus froze. His daughters never sought him out for comfort, never initiated affection. They were always so careful around him, so uncertain. Daddy? Sophia's small voice. Yes, sweetheart. Carmen says you're learning too. Is that true? Marcus's throat tightened. Yes, I'm learning. Learning what? Learning how to be brave, like you. Sophia smiled and nestled closer. Marcus held her, tears streaming silently down his face. Carmen watched from across the room, and when she caught his eye, she nodded. A small acknowledgement. You're doing it. You're getting there. Week 3, Carmen made an announcement at breakfast. Ladies, tomorrow we're taking a special trip. 4 small faces turned toward her voice. A trip where? Isabella asked. To a park in the city. A park designed for children with visual impairments. It has musical installations, sensory gardens, tactile paths. I think you'll love it." The girls erupted with excitement. Marcus's stomach dropped. "Carmen," he said carefully, "can we talk?" They stepped into the hallway. Marcus kept his voice low. "The city, that's too much. Too many people. Too many variables. Marcus, they're ready. They're 4 years old. They're capable 4-year-olds who've been learning and growing. They need this. What if something happens?" Carmen put her hand on his arm. "Then we'll handle it together. But Marcus, you can't keep them in this house forever. Eventually they need to experience the world." Marcus closed his eyes. Every fear screamed at him to say no. But a quieter voice whispered Carmen's words from 3 weeks ago. "Safety without joy is just another kind of prison." "Okay," he whispered, "we'll go. You won't regret this." But Marcus already regretted it. Spent the whole night awake, imagining every possible disaster. By morning, he was exhausted and terrified. Saturday morning. The car service arrived at 9 o'clock. Marcus had arranged for his largest vehicle, a modified SUV with extra space and safety features. The girls were vibrating with excitement. Carmen had dressed them in comfortable clothes, soft pants, breathable shirts, sturdy shoes. She'd explained where they were going, what to expect, how to stay safe. "Hold hands with your sister. Listen for Carmen's voice. If you get scared, say so. We'll stop anytime you need." Marcus sat in the front passenger seat, rigid with anxiety. Carmen sat in the back with the girls, keeping up a running commentary as they drove into the city. "We're crossing a bridge now. Can you feel the change in the road? We're going over water. The city is on the other side." The park was in Brooklyn, 45 minutes from the Connecticut mansion. The longest Marcus's daughters had been away from home since they were born. When they arrived, Marcus's hands were shaking. Carmen noticed. "Marcus," she said quietly, "breathe, I've got them." I know, but trust them. They're stronger than you think." The park was beautiful. Winding paths with different textures, smooth concrete, bumpy brick, soft rubber, musical instruments installed at child height, chimes, drums, xylophones, garden beds filled with fragrant herbs, a fountain with multiple tiers creating different sounds, and other children, blind children with their families, sighted children learning to play together with those who couldn't see. Carmen led the girls to the entrance. "Okay, ladies, this is it. A whole park designed for exploring. What do you want to try?" "First, the music," Grace said immediately. They found the musical installation, metal drums that resonated when touched, wind chimes that sang in the breeze, a xylophone with raised notes. The girls touched everything, created sounds, laughed when they made noise. Marcus stood back, watching, his chest tight, his mind cataloging every potential danger. The other children running nearby, the uneven ground, the water fountain. But Carmen stayed close, not hovering, but present, guiding without controlling. "Sophia, there's a drum 3 steps to your left. Isabella, careful, you're near the path edge. Olivia, Grace, beautiful music you're making." Then Sophia stopped playing, tilted her head. "Carmen, I hear other kids." "You do? Want to meet them?" Sophia hesitated, then nodded. Carmen called over to a nearby family, a mother with 2 daughters, one around Sophia's age. "Hi, would your daughter like to play together?" The mother smiled. "Of course." The little girl approached. Carmen made introductions. "This is Sophia. She's blind, so she can't see you, but she'd love to know your name." "I'm Maya," the girl said. "Hi, Maya," Sophia said shyly. "Do you want to play the drums together?" Sophia nodded. The 2 girls moved to the drums, started playing together, Maya describing what she was doing, Sophia responding. Marcus watched his daughter make a friend, a real friend, playing like any other child. His vision blurred. Isabella, Olivia, and Grace found the sensory garden, knelt in the soft mulch and touched the plants. Lavender, mint, rosemary. Carmen taught them the names, the scents, the textures. "This one is fuzzy, that's lamb's ear. This one smells like medicine, that's eucalyptus. This one you can eat, that's basil." The girls were absorbed, completely engaged, learning through touch and smell and sound. Marcus pulled out his phone, opened the security app out of habit, then stopped. He looked at his daughters, really looked. Not through a screen, not from a distance. Just looked at 4 little girls experiencing joy. He closed the app, put his phone away, and stepped forward to join them. "Can I try?" he asked quietly. Grace reached for his hand. "Come feel this one, Daddy. It's so soft." Marcus knelt in the mulch beside his daughters, touched the plants, let them teach him what they were learning. "See, Daddy," Grace said, "the world isn't scary when you know how to feel it." Marcus's chest cracked open. An hour passed. The girls played, explored, laughed. Marcus watched some, participated more, let himself be present in the moment instead of cataloging future disasters. Then Carmen suggested the tactile maze, a winding path with walls at different heights, different textures to follow, designed for blind children to navigate independently. "Who wants to try?" Carmen asked. All 4 girls raised their hands. Marcus tensed. "Carmen, I don't know if they can do this," she said firmly. "Trust them." She led the girls to the maze. Entrance, explained the rules. Follow the wall with your hand. When you feel it change texture, you're at a turn. The exit has a bell. When you reach it, ring it so we know you made it through. Sophia went first. Her hand found the wall. She started walking slowly, carefully, following the texture changes, making decisions at intersections. Marcus held his breath, watching his daughter navigate alone, actually alone, without someone holding her hand or directing every step. Sophia turned a corner, disappeared from view. Marcus lurched forward. "I can't see her, Carmen, I can't." Carmen's hand on his arm stopped him. "She's okay, listen." Marcus forced himself to breathe, to listen. He could hear Sophia's footsteps, her small voice talking to herself. "Okay," the wall changed. "Turn here, keep going." Then, from somewhere in the maze, a bell rang, clear and bright. Sophia had made it through. She emerged from the exit, face glowing with pride. "I did it. Did you see? Did you hear? I did it all by myself." Carmen laughed and hugged her. "I knew you could." Isabella went next, then Olivia, each girl navigating the maze independently, each one ringing the bell, each one emerging triumphant. Grace was last, the youngest, the quietest, the one Marcus worried about most. She placed her hand on the wall, started walking, made the first turn successfully. Then Marcus lost sight of her, his heart pounded. He moved toward the maze entrance. "Marcus," Carmen said quietly, "let her do this. I just want to make sure. She needs to know you believe she can." Marcus stopped, forced himself to stand still, to wait, to trust. 30 seconds passed. 45, a minute, no bell. Marcus's chest tightened. Something's wrong. She should have made it through by now. Give her time. Another 30 seconds. Still no bell. Marcus couldn't take it anymore. He moved toward the maze. "I'm going in." "Marcus, wait." But he was already walking along the outside of the maze, trying to see through gaps in the walls, trying to find his daughter. Then he heard it. Grace's voice. Not crying, not scared. Singing one of Carmen's grandmother's songs. The melody she'd been humming for 3 weeks. Marcus followed the sound, looked through a gap in the maze wall, and saw something that stopped his heart. Grace stood in the middle of the maze, no longer touching the wall, just standing there, turning slowly, listening. Then she started walking, not toward the wall, not following the tactile guide, just walking forward with confidence, straight toward where the exit should be. Marcus couldn't breathe. His daughter wasn't following the rules, wasn't using the tools. She was navigating by sound, by spatial awareness, by instinct. She walked 6 steps, 7, 8, reached out, found the bell, rang it. The sound echoed across the park. Grace emerged from the maze, face tilted up toward the sun, smiling like she'd just conquered the world. Carmen was there, immediately. "Grace, you did it." "I used my ears," Grace said proudly. I listened to where the sounds were coming from, and I knew which way to go. Carmen's eyes filled with tears. That's called echolocation. Some blind people learn to do that. You just figured it out on your own. Grace beamed. Marcus stood frozen, watching his youngest daughter, the one he'd been most afraid for, the one he thought was most fragile. She'd just navigated a maze without help, using skills he didn't even know she had. His daughters weren't helpless. They weren't broken. They weren't limited by their blindness. They were capable of things he'd never imagined because he'd never let them try. Marcus's knees buckled. He sank to the ground right there in the middle of the park. His back hit the maze wall, and he wept. Not quiet tears, deep, wrenching sobs that came from somewhere he'd locked away 4 years ago. Carmen appeared beside him. She didn't touch him, just sat nearby, present but not intrusive. I've been keeping them in prison, Marcus choked out, for 4 years. I thought I was protecting them, but I was just keeping them small because I was afraid. You were grieving, Carmen said gently, and scared. That's understandable. They could have been doing this all along, learning, growing, living, and I stopped them because I couldn't handle my own fear. But you're not stopping them anymore. Marcus looked up at her. How do you do it? How do you believe so completely? Carmen's expression softened. Because I know what it's like to be told you can't. When I lost vision in my eye, people treated me like I was fragile, like I couldn't do things anymore. It would have been easy to believe them, but I had my brother, and watching him refuse to accept limitations taught me that the only real disability is giving up. She looked toward where the girls were playing. Your daughters aren't disabled by blindness, Marcus. They're disabled by a world that doesn't believe in them, but you can change that. You're already changing that. Marcus wiped his face, stood up slowly, walked over to where his daughters were playing together near the fountain. They heard him coming, turned toward his footsteps. Daddy? Sophia's voice. Are you okay? Marcus knelt down, gathered all 4 of them into his arms, held them so tight. I'm okay, he whispered. I'm better than okay. I'm so proud of you, all of you. You're so brave and strong and capable, and I'm sorry I didn't see that before. You're seeing it now, Isabella said simply. That's what matters, Olivia added. Grace patted his cheek. It's okay, Daddy. Carmen says everybody learns at their own pace. Even daddies. Marcus laughed through his tears, looked over at Carmen, who was watching with her own tears streaming. Thank you, he mouthed. She nodded. They stayed at the park for 2 more hours. The girls played, explored, made friends, lived. And Marcus watched, not from behind a screen, not from behind fear, just watched his daughters be themselves. On the drive home, the girls chattered excitedly about everything they'd experienced. Marcus listened to their voices, really listened, heard the joy, the confidence, the life. Carmen caught his eye in the rearview mirror, smiled. When they arrived home, Marcus helped the girls inside. They were exhausted but happy. Carmen got them settled for quiet time. As she was leaving for the evening, Marcus stopped her in the foyer. Carmen, I need to ask you something. Okay. Would you consider staying permanently, not as a nanny, as family? The girls need you, I need you, not just for your skills, but for who you are, what you believe, how you see them. Carmen's eyes widened. Marcus, I'm not asking you to be their mother. Elena was their mother, but you've given them something no one else could. You've given them the belief that they can do anything. Please don't take that away. Carmen was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled. I'm not going anywhere. Those girls have my whole heart. I'll stay as long as you'll have me. Forever, then. Forever. 6 months later. The Christmas tree stood in the corner of the living room. The girls had helped decorate it, felt each ornament, chose where it should go by touch and instinct. Marcus sat in his favorite chair, watching them play. Really play. They weren't afraid anymore, weren't confined by rules that prioritized safety over life. Sophia had started piano lessons. Isabella loved cooking with Carmen. Olivia had memorized every path in the garden. and now led her sisters on adventures. Grace sang constantly, her voice filling the house with joy. The 43 security cameras still existed, but Marcus rarely checked them. He didn't need to watch anymore. He was present. Carmen had moved into the mansion full-time. She had her own suite, but most evenings she sat with the family, reading to the girls, playing games, just being together. Tonight the girls were putting on a Christmas show. They'd been rehearsing for weeks. Songs, a short play, surprises they wouldn't tell Marcus about. "Okay, Daddy," Sophia announced. "Close your eyes." Marcus smiled. "They're closed. No peeking. I promise." He heard rustling, whispering, giggling. Then music started playing, Carmen's voice counting down. 3, 2, 1. "Merry Christmas, Daddy." Marcus opened his eyes. The girls stood in a line, hands held, wearing matching red dresses Carmen had helped them pick out. And behind them, a banner they'd made themselves, raised letters they'd glued on so they could feel the words. "We love you, Daddy." Marcus's vision blurred immediately. The girls sang, a song Carmen had taught them, about light in darkness, about finding joy, about family. When they finished, they ran to him, all 4 of them piling into his lap, too big to all fit, but trying anyway. "Did you like it?" Grace asked. "Did we do good?" Isabella added. "Were we loud enough?" Olivia worried. "Did we make you proud?" Sophia asked. Marcus held them all, his whole world in his arms. "You've made me proud every single day," he whispered. "Since the moment you were born, I just couldn't see it because I was looking through the wrong lens." "What lens are you looking through now?" Sophia asked. Marcus looked up at Carmen, who stood nearby, tears streaming down her face. "Love," he said simply. "I'm finally looking through love." The girls snuggled closer. Outside, snow began to fall. The mansion, once cold, once empty, once filled with nothing but fear and grief, was warm, was full, was home because Marcus had learned what Carmen knew all along. That blindness doesn't limit possibility, fear does. And the moment you choose to believe in what someone can become instead of being trapped by what they can't see, miracles stop being impossible. They just become life. Real, messy, beautiful life. And that's worth more than all the security systems in the world. The end. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.